Hello dear friends. In my previous video we were discussing on module number 6 B, Getman's Gift, written by R.K. Narayan, and its hero Govind Singh was a gatekeeper. You can call him a gate man also, and who received a registered packet or envelope, and this registered envelope he was showing everybody and asking them what is exactly in that registered post. Someone suggested open the register and see. Someone suggested go to the X-ray institute and take a X-ray, then you will come to know what is exactly there in the envelope. But before saying anything further about his progress, it would be useful to go back to an earlier chapter in his history. After war service in 1914 to 1918, he came to be recommended for a gatekeeper's post at Englandias. He was recommended for the post at Englandias. Englandias may be a huge building of the company from England, where many people were working, and the time was war period, First World War. You might have known about this First World War, which began in 1914 and ended in 1918. So during that period he was recommended as a gatekeeper in that company. He liked the job very much. He was given a khaki uniform, a resplendent band across his shoulder, and a short stick. This is actually the uniform of a gatekeeper. So this is the uniform, which was khaki in color, and band cross. There is a band cross of metal on his shoulders, and a short stick in the hand. He gripped the stick and sat down on a stool at the entrance of the office, as it was his duty to sit on the stool near the gate with the uniform and a stick in his hand. And when his chief's car pulled up at the gate, he stood at attention and gave a military salute. You know military salute, what kind of a military salute is, you know very well. He used to give military salute to his chief when his car stood there in the gate. He immediately stood at attention and gave a military salute. The office consisted of a staff numbering over 100, and as they trooped in and out every day he kept an eye on them. There were more than 100 people working in that office. And every morning and evening, when they used to enter to the office and exit from that office, he had to keep an eye on them. At the end of the day, he awaited the footsteps of a general manager coming down the stairs and rose stiffly and stood at attention. Every day, when he sees and when he hears the sound of footsteps of his chief, he attentively stood up and gave a military salute. And after he left, the hundreds of staff poured out. When the boss went out, immediately after that, the hundreds of employees rushed towards the door and exit themselves from that door. That the word used poured, just like the tea poured in the glass or cup. The doors were shut. Singh carried his stool in, placed it under the staircase, and placed his stick across it. What he did every day, try to understand. After going each and every person outside of the company, of the office, he used to bring his stool inside, place that stool under the staircase. He placed usually his stick across it. Then he came out and the main door was locked and sealed. In this way, he had spent 25 years of his service. 25 years. The same work. No change at all in this work as a gatekeeper. So he had spent 25 years of his service and then he begged to be pensioned off. He applied for the pension. He would not have thought of retirement yet. He was no doubt strong and stout and not much physical and mental work in this position. So he felt that this is not a proper time to be retired. But for the fact that he found his sight and hearing playing tricks on him, his eyesight became loose and the ability of hearing also weakened. He could not catch the manager's footsteps on the stairs. He could not catch, or he could not hear the sound of the footsteps of his chiefs on the stairs. And it was hard to recognize him even at 10 yards. Hard to recognize even at 10 yards. He was ushered into the presence of the chief, who looked up for a moment from his papers and murmured, He was there in his office, chief's office, with the application for pension. His chief looked up for a moment from his papers and murmured, "We are very pleased with your work for us, and the company will give you a pension of 12 rupees for your life." How much pension? 12 rupees per month for your life. Singh clicked his heels. You might have known the pattern of saluting a person. Clicked heels, joined tips and toes of legs immediately and saluted, turned on his heels and went out of the room with his heart brimming with gratitude and pride. The words used by the chief of the company created an enthusiasm in him. His heart was full of gratitude and pride. This was the second occasion when the great man had spoken to him. This was the second occasion. At the time of retirement first. And before that, the first being on the first day on his service, which was the first experience of talking to his chief. That was the first day of his service. So only twice during these 25 years his boss spoke him, only twice. At the beginning of his service and at the end of his service. As he had stood at his post, the chief entering the office just then looked up for a moment and asked, "Who are you?" First time, as he has stood at his post, the chief entering the office just then looked up for a moment and asked, "Who are you?" And he remembered that he replied, "I am a new gatekeeper master." He had answered at that time when he asked, "Who are you?" first time. And he spoke again only on this day. Though so little was said, Singh felt electrified on both occasions by the words of his master. His master just spoke twice, but his speech electrified the gateman, acquired a sort of godhood, and it would be quite adequate if a god spoke to one only once or twice in a lifetime. It was just like a god speaking with God. In moments of contemplation, Singh's mind dwelt on the words of his master and on his personality. So he remembered very well the words uttered by his master at the first time when he stood before him, at the time of joining the service, and he also remembered the words when he retired and went to his office, to his boss, with the application for pension. At that time, his boss spoke with him, and that words also were the words that made his mind electrified and enthusiastic. We will see remaining part of the extract afterwards. Thank you.